It's only.
I feel like they.
Why you have to be mad?
Sorry, what was that?
Is he in Nashville? Am I close geographically?
They've
The
been cooking it
contracts.
up.
The contracts are coming in.
No one knows what he is. He's a big orange monster
What's
with
he?
googly eyes.
He's
and
a gritty.
Okay.
little.
The Florida lead.
What do you think of Owen's bracket? Do you remember it?
It's hopeful.
All right, welcome to episode 30 of the Bread Loves Hockey podcast, brought to you by the two of us, Justine and Bread today. You will probably notice I'm under the weather a little bit, got some throat issues, and now the stuffy nose is starting today, so just bear with us. Bear with me, I guess. You don't have to do anything for Dean. We were hoping to have Sandroni on this time since it's episode 30 and he was doing multiples of 10, but he was unavailable sadly, so we'll have to press on.
We'll have to wait till episode 40.
Yeah, he'll come back. It's 10, 20, skip a few, 40, 50, skip a few, 70,
Yeah.
So we just hadn't figured out the full pattern yet.
Right.
Anyways, let's talk about some league news and get into it a little bit. We had the Stadium Series right when we were recording, or right before we recorded. Sorry, after. Oh my gosh. We recorded on Friday, and then the games happened Saturday, Sunday. So they were at MetLife, which seemed like they packed the place pretty good. They got like 70,000 or so for the Devils Flyers, and then I believe like 79,000 pushing 80 for the Islanders Rangers game. So pretty good turnout for the league, and unfortunately I'm sure there were a lot of fans that didn't have the jerseys that they were looking for. I don't know if you saw this, Dean, but like there were certainly concerns with both Canadians and like Americans trying to get the Stadium Series jerseys. They were like barely produced, and they sold out just like so quickly whenever they were posted. And I think a lot of people's orders got canceled. I don't know if I think the Fanatics availability was a little bit better, but probably not that much.
You mentioned the Devils ones were like particularly bad.
Yeah. Like when I saw that Adidas announced like that they were available, like the three other ones, Rangers, Flyers, and Islanders, were still up on the site, but like the Devils ones were already like they weren't even. It didn't even say sold out. They just weren't on the site at all. So that was like a particularly bad one, which sucks because that was one of the ones that I would have really wanted to get. I probably won't now, unfortunately. The Rangers one too was really cool, and I might still be able to get that one. I don't know, but yeah, it was a pretty miserable experience, and it's kind of just reiterating that Adidas has really been phoning in this last year because they know that they're done and they don't want to overproduce anything and have to get rid of stock. So they're like, we just won't make enough. Which, yeah, tough for the fans.
Yeah.
Trying to get
Other than that,
as many of the good ones.
I mean, the games were good. I didn't watch them, but I know the Rangers one was
Yeah.
a really good one.
Yeah, that was I watched the recap for that Rangers Islanders game. I meant to watch the recap for the Devils game, but I didn't just because I knew the score was kind of lopsided towards the end there. 6-3 Devils win. So for the Rangers game, that one was certainly different. Went into overtime after Rangers were down like 2 late in the third, and they were able to come back. I think it was like 5 minutes left, and then they won in overtime.
I think the other funny thing, I know you mentioned this in the group chat about the outdoor game, is like normally there's the themes of how players dress, like walking into the arena.
Yeah.
So like, what was it, the Devils that did the Sopranos, and then I don't know all the themes, but like the Islanders were just the Islanders.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the Flyers did like a Rocky thing, I want to say.
They had like the hoodies.
yeah, and the Rangers came like in on New York City like fire trucks, and they were like dressed up as like firemen or whatever. And then yeah, it's like freaking Lou is like, nope, we're not gonna do anything. You guys are gonna be in your normal everyday game day attire, like business as usual. It's like, oh my god, could you have fun for like 1 second, please?
Well, no, yeah, some people were kind of upset with that, but other people thought it was kind of funny. Like, of course, like Lou would be like, yeah, it's just a normal game.
Yeah, I guess if they wanted, they could say that that was intentional, like as a like a
Yeah,
self-reflective
but
joke or
probably
whatever.
wasn't.
But like I don't know. That probably wasn't the case, and they were just being classic Lou.
Yeah.
But yeah, and their jerseys were, I think a lot of people thought they were pretty bland. The generic like Isles font, and that was it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I mean, some people liked them. I don't think they're that bad, but and I don't remember. I don't think you didn't hate them either, but
I didn't hate them.
they're just we could
They're
have
fine.
gotten a lot more. I think so.
Yeah.
It's all right. Not many people will ever get to own them anyways.
Hmm.
I don't even
I
know if
also did
they're still
like, I
available.
mean, we mentioned the jerseys, but like the whole uniform, like at least the Rangers and the Islanders, I did like the old school helmet look, like
Yeah,
the big lettering of the like NYR
yeah, and I
for the
think
Rangers and just NY for the Islanders.
I think all the teams had like that big helmet decals, which like
Yeah, I
I
think that's
remember
cool.
seeing the photo of the Devils ones with like the red, Devils logo etched in there on the like the map. Or I don't know if it was matte black, but just like on the black helmet looked like pretty sweet. So yeah, the uniforms, I thought all of them they ended up doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Tyler's I was a little disappointed with still, and the Flyers I thought they did what they could. They're the Flyers. Like, what are they? They have so little to work with, and because they never
Yeah.
change anything. So, did your best. So, fun event. I know it was cold. I was definitely glad that I wasn't there. Although I was at the flea market, so I guess I would have preferred to be sitting in the cold watching hockey than helping at a flea market for 12 hours.
Sure.
But whatever. So one and another thing with the game was, um, we had a rookie played his first NHL game, first player to ever debut in an outdoor game, which is already pretty special. Matt Rempe, he's like 6'7", like 240, and a lot of people thought like, oh well, he must be like a defender. No, he's a center. Um, So, already pretty crazy day for him. And then his first shift, he he is paired up with Matt Martin, and he's like, you want to go? Like, welcome to the show, or whatever. He's like, yeah. So he freaking drops the gloves. His first shift in the NHL, and he did pretty damn well against a veteran fighter like Matt Martin.
Right. Yeah, it was a long fight too, like for nowadays at least.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
I
yeah,
was
he
surprised.
makes Matt Martin look small.
I know, which is crazy. Like, That's what happens when you're 6'7". There's so
Yeah.
few guys that are that tall in the league.
Yeah, but
So
it seemed like they both stayed standing, and then there's like, "We good? We're good. Okay."
yeah,
Yeah, good for him.
that's a
It's,
pretty fun
no,
story.
no other game after that's gonna feel as exciting until playoffs, maybe. Like you start with an outdoor game, it's like, oh, now I have to play like indoors.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they aren't all like that. That's all right. But and better to not have 90,000 people watching you. Maybe it probably
Hmm.
doesn't make that much of a difference because like you're still on TV, each time. But it's like a bit of a difference. I don't know. Maybe it means nothing. I'll never know. As I'll never be a player. So,
Never too late.
well, probably to be a player, I would say. Although and I'm only 26, but there was a game 2 nights ago. I think it was on Monday. We're recording on Wednesday today, and there was a game for Vegas and for Boston where they both had a player make their NHL debut, and they both scored goals. Matt Rempe did not score a goal, but uh, Mason Morelli for Vegas and
Justin
Justin
Brezzo.
Brezzo, yeah, for Boston, both scored their first goals in their first game. So that was
And
pretty
that was
cool.
the game for Boston where they went 9 rounds in the shootout.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. Oh, and
Yeah.
so I
Good game for
said,
Swayman.
yeah, that was a crazy shootout. I watched the whole thing. Um, so I said that I was 26 because Morelli is 28, and just made his NHL debut. So he's been sort of a veteran AHL guy. Probably played some time in the ECHL too. But he worked hard at in Henderson this year, and with some injuries, he was able to come up and made an impact right away. He got 2 points, which is pretty cool too. And first player to wear number 11 for Vegas.
Also, Justin Brezzo is 26.
Oh, he's 26. So
Mm-hmm.
there you go. I still got like 6 months.
Are you also 6'5", 220 pounds?
No.
I have to work on that.
These are size 46, so yeah. Not quite. I don't think I'm going to get any taller. I could probably gain up to 230 pounds, but I don't think that's
There
going to
you
do
go.
me any good.
Yeah.
Oh, I also have to learn how to skate and play the game of hockey.
Those will come with time.
But yeah, that's pretty natural. Most guys just like that. So, yeah, fun little story there, a little coincidental thing. I don't know. Like they're probably in pretty elite company as far as how many players score in their NHL debut.
Yeah.
Which I was trying to think, like,
I'm sure Gretzky did, right?
yeah, I don't know. Like I was trying to think about it, like when that happened, if it's if it's more common for you to score as like a call up and it's your first game, or if you're like a drafted prospect, like a highly drafted prospect, and it's like your first game of the season, like for the first game for the team, because it's like you're probably gonna get, if you get called up as like a injury replacement, you're probably gonna be playing a little bit higher in the lineup than maybe some of like the rookies, like just coming out of camp, because sometimes they like to test the waters a little bit with them, but sometimes with the injury call-ups they kind of just like throw you where they need you. So I don't know. Maybe you can get a little bit more ice time that way. That's some of the thought process I had.
I was just looking. I found a Reddit article, which we know must be true.
Yeah.
Someone asking about players who scored their first NHL goal on their first NHL shot.
Oh wow.
And Lemieux did that, and it was also his first shift. Taves did that as well. Brindamore, Lemieux, Taves, Wade Redden, all the let's see, Pacioretty, Robitaille, Radek Bonk,
Braddock Bonk.
and then apparently Derek Stepan scored on his first 3 shots.
What?
Yeah, in 2010.
That must have been a great what team was he on at that time?
Rangers.
So Rangers
He
fans were
scored on
like,
Ryan Miller.
they were like, "Oh my God, we
Of course, it
got
was against
him!
Buffalo. Yeah.
He's a superstar." He was drafted pretty high. He wasn't a first overall pick, was he? No, he was pretty high, I think. But it's like, yeah, if you scored 3 goals on your first 3 shots in the league, you're like
51st overall in
51st.
2008, and then his first game was 2010. Well, I guess if you're drafted in 2000, yeah, you played in 2008. So yeah, it took 2 years to get into the league.
Yeah, three seasons. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. He certainly hasn't lived up to that that standard, I guess, but nobody could.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun to think about. I don't know. Do you think the injury replacement thing I had theorized has any merit, or it doesn't really make much of a difference?
Um,
There's probably
the
no information.
the injury thing you theorized.
Yeah.
What was it?
Like if you're replacing somebody who got injured, like you might play higher
Uh,
in the lineup on your in your debut than like maybe a like an
I feel
expected
like
rookie.
like such an edge case.
Yeah, that's why I don't know. I but I don't even know how many players score in their debut. Like is it like 10% or like I don't know. Is there even data for that? I couldn't
Yeah,
even really
I mean,
wager much of a guess.
I think there's a Bruin who did it a couple years ago. I say like Ryan Donato did it, maybe, but like I feel like it happens. It's not like crazy unheard of. Obviously, like I gave that whole list.
Yeah.
Um, another 26-year-old is Austin Matthews, and last I checked, he was on pace for a 75 goal season, and I feel like no one's really talking about this.
That is, yeah, he just scored his 49th goal the other night. Um, like, oh my gosh, it's February. It's not even that late in February. Um,
I know.
and I think a lot of people after last season, when I think he only scored 40 goals, which even saying that, like, yeah, he
Yeah.
only scored 40 goals in the National Hockey League. Like, wow, because he scored 60 the previous season. So it's like, wow, he dropped off or whatever. It's like you do not know shit about like the NHL if you think Austin Matthews dropped off. Like
Yeah.
he was incredible last year and he's been incredible this year. Like I hate to say it as a Leafs hater, but like you know the player is incredible and they're so lucky to have him even if they haven't had success yet. Just like the numbers he can put up are ridiculous.
Yeah, and as far as like heart voting goes, like people are talking about Kucherov, obviously, McKinnon, McDavid.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I feel like if you get 75 goals, you have to, or like anything in the 70s is like you gotta be a lock for the heart.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I could see that not be the case is if there were multiple players that who had scored in the 70s. Because, yeah, other
Yeah,
than that, it's like you just can't overvalue the the goal enough. Like that's the whole shebang. Like I feel like even if you got 75 goals and like 25 assists, like yeah, it's only a 100-point season, but you can frickin' score like nobody else can. Like you can't like take that away. So
yeah, yeah. It's crazy. So he has 49, and second is Sam Reinhart with 39,
Sam Reinhart,
and McDavid is 39th on the list because he's been injured, obviously.
yeah,
But, well, he's played 50 games, and Matthews has 53. So I mean, obviously he wasn't himself earlier. Like he was playing through injuries, and the team also sucked.
yeah,
So
yeah. Oilers fans are like, I don't remember that part of the season at all.
the Drysdale is
We were
in
always
19th
good.
place with 27. So
27. Yeah, that's a little low.
McDavid
Drysidle.
has 21. It's like that's very unlike him.
Yeah, yeah. It's been just been a weird season for the Oilers this year. Um, Unfortunately, they're finding ways to win now. Uh, they're playing they're playing the Bruins tonight or
Tonight
tomorrow. Yeah, tonight.
in 2 hours.
So yeah, we gotta wrap this thing up. Um, we'll see. They, it's too bad. Especially because Vegas has lost like 3 out of 4, and Mark Stone just got injured. He's on LTIR. Eichel's now on LTIR. I know everybody was like, "Oh, here we go again."
Woohoo!
Yeah, yeah. I get it. I can't. I know I'm pretty alone in my corner here about it, but as a Vegas fan, I gotta find a way to look at it. So,
Yeah.
speaking of some pretty incredible goal scorers, how about that ceremony for Jagr's jersey retirement?
Yeah, that was really good. I mean, anytime you let Jagr speak, I feel like you get good clips, like newsworthy clips. I thought one of the things about him like accidentally swearing, and I was like, classic Jagr.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good because he was reacting to the other team. I can't remember who they played that night, but they lost that game, which I was like, oh my god, Penguins, you totally like how can you
He
lose
blew
that
it.
game? Um, yeah, that the other team, I think they had like some extended zone time, and yeah, Jagr was up in the commentator booth, and he's like, oh, like he was literally like still in it, you know, like he
Yeah.
really was like as if he was there on the ice, like oh my gosh, and obviously he still plays professionally, so it was just a crazy night. They all had their Jagr jerseys on, and they had the mullets going, and then
Yeah,
freaking
Crosby wore one for warm-ups.
yeah, and Jagr was literally out there for warm ups, which I don't think any player has ever gotten that before, but
Yeah.
I
They did a
think
good job.
yeah, I think if they're able to, like that should be the standard going forward because it's really cool, especially because Jagr literally sniped it on Jari like during warm ups too.
Yeah. I
And like
wonder if it's different because like he still plays
yeah,
hockey. Like some jerseys that get retired, the guy's like 70.
right. That's why I'm like, yeah. I think there is some discretion. I don't think it should be a requirement by any
Sure. Like
means.
Bergeron and Chara's jerseys are gonna get retired probably before they're that old.
That's
So
what I'm thinking exactly. Yeah, probably both of those guys. So
yeah.
that would be cool, and I'm sure, especially if they're, I don't know when that would be planned for, but um, there'll be plenty of guys still on the team that played with both of them. So,
You know
well, maybe not Chara.
how long ago was the Yager jersey retirement announced? You know, fairly
Um,
recently, right?
it was. I feel like it was a couple of months beforehand. I think
Okay.
maybe
So
even the
like I
off season.
wonder. Well, it's probably too late in the season now for them, like the Bruins, let's say, to do one. But like, it's not like they announced it before the season starts. But I figured like Bergeron, they might just retire his jersey next year. Like, why not?
Yeah,
But
I'm trying to think if the Yager retirement announcement was in the off season. I don't think it was. I think this one was in season, but I know that has happened. Like I think the Ryan Miller one when his jersey was retired, that one was announced off season. Maybe there were a couple others from recent memory.
I also wonder if the Bruins do something with like Bergeron and Chara like together.
Yeah, I mean, two captains of the team, and they were with both on this team together for a long, long time. It wouldn't really surprise me. I think
Yeah,
I
so it
don't
might be a few
think
years.
I don't think either of them would be like hurt that they didn't get their own individual like day in the spotlight either. Like, neither of them
That's
are like that.
true. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe like the organization would feel that they owe it to them to retire them separately just because they are their own players, but
That's a good
um,
point.
I don't know. I'm sure they've done like double retirements before, not necessarily the Bruins, but I feel like
Well, I think the Twins in Vancouver,
oh yeah, the Sedins, sure.
like, why you can't not.
Yeah. That's a gimme. Especially because I'm sure you could you could swap them out and some people would not know which Sedin they had like it's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that was actually Daniel out there for Henrik's retirement." I don't know, maybe not. I didn't watch them very much, so I didn't really get to know their faces. I'm sure for some people it's different.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you watch the team,
Yeah.
I'm trying to see who else is in. So obviously, um, the Flames have two big defenders for the trade deadline that they're looking to get rid of, Chris Tanev and Noah Hannafin, both going to be UFAs. I have heard talks about the Bruins potentially being interested in Hannafin, and also the Panthers, because again, the Bruins aren't looking for like a rental at this point. They're looking to like sign these players. So And I think I heard like Hannafin wants to be in Boston. I don't know if he played college here or what, but what I've heard.
I think he definitely said like he doesn't want to play in Canada anymore.
Yeah.
So that's like, eh, sorry. Most like I don't think he would choose to go to Canada at this point.
Yeah, and the Flames also have Markstrom, who signed for 2 more years, 6 million AAV. But there's reports that he's available and that the Devils are interested in that.
Yeah, I there's been so many like rumors surrounding the Devils because they've been shopping with goalies the whole season because their goalies have been terrible. They just actually sent Nico Dawes back down to the AHL, and they've called up Isaac Poulter, I think his name is. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't Nico Dawes. It was Akira Schmid. Akira Schmid was sent down. So, yeah, they're trying like everything. They like this guy just signed his first NHL contract like maybe a week ago. So they are in desperation mode, and they're like, I think they're 4 points out of a playoff spot right now. So, yeah, they gotta turn things around because they have not been as advertised after last season.
Yeah.
Which
With all the
too bad.
Vegas injuries, what do you think they do at the deadline?
People were like, well, now that Stone and Eichel are on LTIR, like they're gonna go for another big fish sort of thing. I don't really know if there's a great fit out there, and I'm not exactly sure what we need. Like, our center depth is pretty similar. Like, we've had injuries this year. Like, obviously Eichel is out. We've had other guys who've taken some time, but I think we really just need to get back to 100%. Maybe we get a couple of, fill-in sort of guys just to bolster the roster for the push. But hopefully we're on track where most of these guys will be able to come back come, April. So,
Not really any big fish left either.
yeah, agreed, which is like, do they really want to
Gensel,
overpay just to make a move? Like, I don't know.
yeah, I'd say like Jake Gensel's the biggest.
Yeah.
Maybe Tarasenko if you think he's still got something left.
Yeah, I know like Tampa was just recently linked to them, and there's been stuff like, GMs and scouts go attending certain other games, like they're trying to get looks and stuff. So that's always gonna ramp up as we approach the deadline. I believe it's March 8th, I want to say. Or is it March 5th?
I'll check.
It's getting close.
March 8th.
Okay. So we're still a little bit away before things really ramp up, but we have seen like last year there were definitely trades that happened like a few weeks before because teams knew what they wanted and they figured they could get it before they had to pay a whole lot. So
Kind of made for a boring deadline.
yeah, I kind of did. It wasn't that bad, but I think definitely like a couple of years ago was a lot more interesting. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm expecting. Like I feel like maybe the quantity will be, relatively high, but the quality of players that are being moved is not going to be that exciting. But we'll see.
The other thing on so TSN has like I don't know if it's daily, but this was posted today. The trade bait and Hannafin's number 1, but number 6 is Edmonton's 2024 first round pick. But again, they're gonna go for it all this year, probably.
Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded that pick really. Um, Especially after the scare that they had at the beginning of the year, like, okay,
Yeah.
we got to figure this shit out now and like just win. This is the year we got to do it because I don't know, it seems tenuous. Obviously, they did make the coaching change, so they could attribute part of that to Woodcroft. I don't know if it was really a Woodcroft thing, but either way, they've got new management now. So yeah, we'll see who else is looking to trade there first. I know Toronto has been rumored to not want to move their first rounder, but they don't have any second rounders for the next like 3 seasons. So it's like, okay, you're either gonna have to throw in a roster player with like a couple mid round picks, or you're gonna have to cough up your first. Like, if you actually want to make any moves, you're gonna have to get serious here.
Yeah.
So we'll see how much chicken some of these GMs play, especially the sellers.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
And we keep hearing things about Zegras. I don't know. I don't think anything's gonna happen with Zegras this year. It's just it doesn't seem right for the Ducks to move on from him, considering he's 22. He's basically the face of the franchise. Like, his friend, he already traded his friend away. Maybe that's a reason to get rid of him, but like, I don't know. It just seems like his value to what your future core wants to be is higher than like the value that you're gonna get if you trade him.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, well, people always talk about like, oh, he doesn't play defense, blah blah blah, and like they're always critical about him. And the other thing is, unlike other players on that team, he only signed like a 3-year deal last year, so it's like maybe he doesn't want to stick around. So I mean, I can see where the speculation is coming from.
Yeah, and there might be like some actual, rumblings. I think maybe some teams have kicked the can. Um, I don't I don't know who.
I heard the Montreal Canadiens.
Wow,
Secrets is on
really?
their radar. Yep.
That would be interesting. I wouldn't really like it.
Him being a fit there.
Yeah, I could see him fitting in with some of those other guys. But I guess we'll see. But my prediction would be that he doesn't get moved. And maybe Gensel moves. Dubas did just say that like the team's play over the next couple of weeks is sort of going to determine what the plan is for Gensel, like more or less. So they have been struggling. Obviously, they lost that Jagr game, which like again, what are you doing? Like, that's such a disappointment to Jagr.
Well, it's like Elliot Friedman said that Jagr night was perfect, except basically that they lost.
Yeah, that would have been a great way to cap off a win. Get a 6. I guess you can't get a 6-8 victory, but you can get an 8-6 victory.
There you go.
That would have been fun. We did just have that 10-7 game, Wild versus Canucks, where the game had a collective 3 different hat tricks in it,
Yeah.
which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I asked if it was a scoregami, but then you reminded me about the Toronto game because that just happened, like you said, last year. The
Yeah.
one against Detroit.
Yeah. And I think it was like 1982 was the last time that there were 3 different hat tricks in a regular season game, I want to say.
Wow.
Which, like, yeah, that's pretty freaking rare. Especially since it was a home game for the Wild who won that game. Like, that's a crazy one to go to. Your team was down 3 in the third period too. They scored 7 goals, like just in the third period alone. That is an insane game to go to. You got great value.
Is it official that the Islanders are hosting the 2026 All-Star game?
Yeah,
Or is it just rumored?
that was officially announced.
Okay.
And
Oh.
they're announcing 2026 because, like we said previously, 2025, there will be no All-Star game for the not First Nations, 4 Nations face-off.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I know they've been doing a lot of renovations around the area too with the new arena. So
Yeah,
should be good.
they've been doing stuff with. I know they have that new train that is helpful to get people either to there or from there. I can't remember. I don't live in the city or on the island, so I
Maybe
don't know.
both.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I guess trains can go multiple ways. Uh, but yeah, that's cool. I know. I saw on Twitter somebody was like, "We got to make sure that Tavares gets voted into the All Star game."
Yes,
That would be so funny.
it has to happen.
The boos would be legendary.
Yeah, I'll still be playing in 2 years.
Will he be All Star worthy?
Hmm.
Hopefully. I mean,
If John Scott was,
for the memes, anyways. Yeah, so that's something to keep an eye on. Maybe I'll consider going to that because I've never been to an All Star game. It's like one of the closer ones for me, and obviously got the Islanders up there. Uh, I think it would be cool. Maybe Zane would come,
yeah.
but a couple years down the road, so
Hmm.
we'll keep an eye on it.
On the topic of arenas, there were over 9,000 people that attended the PWHL game at Scotiabank Arena, which is pretty crazy. I mean, we've talked about it already, like how it's nice having them on YouTube and being able to watch games easily, but I feel like the attention that these games have gotten is really good, and I don't want to say more than expected, but like it's past the like the start of the season hype, and like it's been sustained, which is good to see.
Yeah. Um. So I would just say it was 19,000, not 9,000.
Oh, thank
Uh,
you.
but just for the audio listeners. But yeah, that was crazy. So yeah, they've been experimenting with having different NHL arenas host games. I know Little Caesars hosted a game. I'm pretty sure UBS did as well, and obviously we mentioned Scotiabank, and XL Energy is the home for the Wild. So they've been able to have games where they can sell out, and yeah, the Toronto one did, which is really cool. I mean, I agree that they're not really in that honeymoon phase, I guess, anymore. And I do think they are still regularly getting pretty good viewership for the YouTube games, or for the YouTube streams of the games. So, yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing how the playoff picture shakes out and then what the playoffs are going to look like. I think we're still a little bit ways away, though. And they do have a trade deadline. I think they officially or they unofficially had a tentative date. I don't know if that's been confirmed yet. Check the website.
I saw this article too about that PWHL game, and the article title was "Way Louder Than Leafs Fans."
Ah,
And they talk about the record. 'Cause I think there was a fan like holding that sign, and yeah, it was true. Like apparently, like the crowd was electric.
yeah, I mean, especially because they haven't gotten a chance to be hurt yet. So it's like, yeah, it's nice to be enthusiastic about a Toronto team that hasn't let me down. Um,
Hmm.
I don't think they're doing that badly in the standings. Yeah, they're third in the standings right now. Um, they're they're 3 points back of Montreal for second. So I guess our teams aren't doing well. If yours is Boston and mine is New York, we're at the with the last two. I don't know if you'd really picked a team yet, or you're still
It's
thinking it through.
Boston,
Yeah,
but also when they drafted, they're like, "Oh, Boston's gonna be like so good." Like on paper, they seemed like they'd be one of the better teams.
I thought so too. Yeah, Hillary Knight is there, and a couple of
Lauren
others.
Gable.
Yeah, Lauren Gable. Um, so yeah, luckily we are in a good position where there's a lot of different former Clarkson players that we can root for. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I'm just really glad that things have been working out pretty well as far as attendance. Maybe I'll try to get to a game this season. I don't know, might be possible. I'm sure the tickets are not nearly as bad as NHL tickets either. So
No. Yeah, I'd be interested. I mean, obviously they're all pretty much on the east-ish, so
a bit further for
tough.
you.
Yeah, but I'm sure they'll expand soon too.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe
'Cause I forget
the
how many
player.
were in. Like, if you combine the two leagues, how many teams there were.
Oh, yeah, that I don't know off the top of my head.
Like, there's definitely players that had contracts and then those got terminated and like didn't get drafted. So like, there's definitely players out there who aren't playing that would love to be able to.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll be good once they determine that the league is sustainable, and that they can support more teams. They'll be happy to do so to get more professional women playing hockey, and you know get closer to the NHL sort of standard, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just talking about this beforehand, but there was another player who made their NHL debut recently, just last night, Arshdeep Bains, for Vancouver. First player to wear number 80, and he's only, I think, I saw the
First Connect
fourth.
Club.
Yeah. Um, I want to say the fifth player to be a Punjabi, which is pretty cool. It's like, yeah, pretty rare. There's, I think Kevin Ball, who's currently in the league, is like half uh, Punjabi. I think his dad's side, and there was one other. Oh, Jujar Kara, who I don't know if I don't think he's still in the league right now, but he played for Edmonton for a little bit. I think he played for Vancouver as well. Um, so it's just another cool little story, and he's worked pretty hard as far as like his hockey journey to get here, undrafted in the West Coast League and undrafted in the NHL, and he was able to make the Abbotsford roster, and now he's been scoring at a pretty decent chip. So, and he actually had a halfway decent scoring chance in the game too. I like checked out a little bit of it. So I just thought that was a fun little story to share.
Yeah, good for him. I have nothing else to add.
Yeah.
Happy for him.
And I guess like there are a decent amount of like Punjabi people that live in like the greater Vancouver area, and like are generally Vancouver fans. I don't know necessarily where the origins of that connection are, but either way it's a cool little story, and um, yeah, I just figured to highlight that because sometimes we are a little doom and gloom, but not today. I don't think we've had anything too bad to say today, except for the
No.
jersey rollout thing.
You don't really have any bad news, which is nice.
Yeah, it's nice to talk about stuff like that.
I was just looking at well, so this happened when was this? Like a little over a week ago, the NHL had a hit stat audit.
Yeah.
They basically went through and they're like, wait a minute, like the hits seem a lot lower like this year. Like they had noticed this, and they went back and they added 6,826 hits to the statistics.
That is a
Just for this season. They
crazy
also
number.
removed 2 hits.
They removed two.
Yep, they're like, oh, that one wasn't a hit. So I don't know. Apparently, it was very painstaking. I don't know how
Yeah, I
exactly they
bet.
did it, but yep. I was also
Especially
looking.
because
So
like not all the game footage that you know we saw as fans necessarily showed every hit. So it's like you gotta comb through every game and multiple camera angles to make sure you get everything.
yeah.
That sounds brutal.
Do you have any guess who leads the league in hits? In the top 3, there are 2 former Bruins.
Hmm. Um. I don't think any of the Vegas players this year. Historically, we have had like one or two representatives in the top like three. Reeves for a while was up there.
This
Colasar and
one,
Carrier have both been up there.
Kolasar is 7th, and Paul
7.
Cotter is 9th.
Oh, Cotter too. Yeah, yeah. I'm always kind of surprised by his number of hits because I feel like I focus a lot more on his forechecking, but yeah, he does hit a fair amount.
Bruins don't have any on the top, however many is on this website, like 20, 30.
Which is
Jeremy Lauzon is 1st, and Garnet Hathaway is 3rd for the Bruins, and Dakota
oh,
Joshua is 2nd.
Oh, Dakota Joshua. Okay. Maybe. Maybe I could have thought about Hathaway. I don't think I would have said Lauzon.
Yeah, me either.
It's been a little while since I've watched him. Now that he's with I think Seattle.
Hathaway actually gained the most hits from the audit. He gained 44 hits.
Oh wow! Way to go. They were doing him a disservice.
The Boston Bruins were actually the biggest undercounter revealed in the audit. They got an additional 332 hits added. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me read the whole thing because I was skimming. TD Garden, the home of the Boston Bruins, is the biggest undercounter revealed in the audit, with 332 additional hits credited. 166 of them, exactly 50%, went to the visiting team. So just whoever counts them, like works at TD Garden, just didn't track as many hits for either team playing.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I wonder why, like, this year, just whoever was working it happened to be counting less. Like, who knows?
Yeah, it
The
seems like it's a
scorekeepers for the
league-wide
Dallas Stars were the most punishing for visitors, not crediting them with more than 61% of the 218 missed hits.
Oh wow. That I'm not surprised that they did the audit then if they were like, yeah, these numbers are not lining up with like the last like 3 or 4 seasons. Like what is going on?
The home team with the fewest missed body checks were the Edmonton Oilers, only 127. But yeah, I think on the 32 Thoughts podcast, they also mentioned that like it's good that the NHL like came out and reported this because like if they had just like noticed it and like waited to do it or something, like someone would have noticed. Like people comb through these stats, like fans and reporters and stuff. Like someone would have noticed it for like eventually. So it's good that they kind of like got ahead of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course it makes you wonder about the other stats that they're keeping track of as far as their validity, but at least yeah, there was some transparency there, which I think isn't always the case with the league. So to have them come out and say, yeah, we checked things, and because they weren't adding up. It's like we heard the couple of you that reached out and was like, what's going on with this?
Couple other fun facts while we're on the topic.
Absolutely.
The Sharks scorekeepers punished the home squad the most, failing to credit the Sharks players with more than 39% of the 305 hits found in the audit. Sounds about right.
Must be a Vegas fan.
Overall, the balance was 50-50, though, with 50.06% of the uncredited hits being awarded to visiting teams. The most uncredited hits in a single game was 5, which was retroactively applied to games by Hathaway and a couple other. Brady Kachuk, Clutterbuck, Pedersen. Yep, Elias Pedersen.
Wow, five
Five-hit game.
hits by one player. That's crazy.
Let's see. The audit did not change the single game hit champion, Jeremy Lauzon. And then the 2 players that lost a hit were Adrian Kempe and Tyler Myers.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I take
tough.
one away. It wasn't a hit.
Whatever you did, it wasn't a hit.
I wonder, like, did they find the exact moment? Like, that's the one. Nope, it wasn't a hit. Get rid of it. Or like, I don't know. We checked over and over. I think somehow they counted a hit that wasn't a hit somewhere. We don't know, but we only counted 219, and you have 220. So,
right.
Like,
yeah,
I wonder how
that's
that
probably what happened. Was like, yeah, they saw every hit, and they counted them all up and got to 219. They're like, somebody made a mistake somewhere. I don't know where the hell it was or what you considered a hit. Yeah, it's like, well, okay.
Or what probably happened is like they read the number wrong. Actually, no, because then if someone got an extra hit, maybe they like miscounted his for someone else. Could just be that.
Yeah, that could be.
Know. Anyway, that's enough about hits.
Yeah, that was a fun little deep dive.
Yeah.
I was surprised by that number. I hadn't heard that 6,800 number until now, but yeah,
a lot of hits.
That's a lot. You never really think about how much it adds up like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever thought about this or if we've talked about it before. I was thinking about this when I was watching an overtime game where a penalty occurred with less than 2 minutes left, and I was like, well, there's the whole thing about, you don't get to get the full value of that full 2 minutes if it goes into a shootout. So, I had considered a guaranteed penalty shot with if there's a penalty that occurs with less than 2 minutes left in overtime. Just curious about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Don't like it. Okay.
I don't know. I feel like yeah, it kind of sucks. Like if there's 5 seconds left or whatever, and you get hooked, it's like. But for the most part, if there's only 5 seconds left, were you really gonna score in the next five? Like if it affects the play and it wasn't a breakaway, if it's a breakaway, you're getting a penalty shot anyway. If it wasn't a breakaway and there's 5 seconds left, it's like, did it really matter? And the further away from the end of the game you get, like if it's a minute left, then you still have a minute of power play. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like I just get so frustrated because something would happen, like a puck over the glass with 5 seconds left, and it's awarded a penalty shot, and it's like, come on, like
Yeah, I
I
mean,
can
I
just
guess
imagine it being so frustrating.
like maybe it would only apply to certain types of infractions. Like, yeah, I would agree that you probably don't deserve a penalty shot for a puck over the glass or like a face-off infraction, God forbid, or whatever.
Which we've still never seen, I don't think. Like maybe
I,
one
I
time.
I think I have seen before where they have called the face-off like penalties.
Mm.
But yeah, it's very rare. So yeah, I do think that there are certain infractions where it would be warranted. There were some other suggestions that I've heard before because I think somebody else saw like the same scenario and they posted an article, which I think it was somebody on the Athletic. I couldn't read it. Um, I don't know what some of the other potential options were, like maybe sit out for the shootout or something like that if
Mm.
it was a certain player or um, something to that effect.
I think that would
Or
be like the
or
opposite end
they
of the spectrum, where it's like, whatever. Like,
the other thought was extend the overtime to add the full two
oh,
minutes,
I
which
don't mind that.
that feels a little bit more up your alley.
Yeah, well, because I'm on the 10-minute overtime
Right.
train.
So yeah, that way it would be like, similar to, well, not really like soccer, but yeah, you would just have extra time to serve the full thing, and then once the power play is over, the period ends.
Yeah, I actually really like that because like you're not just going to a 10-minute overtime where it's like you could argue that they're going to be more tired in it's like 82 games and you have 10 overtimes. It's like, oh no, they play an extra 50 minutes a season, which I don't agree with that as being an issue. But anyway, if you want to make
Yeah.
that argument, sure. But like, how many times will it actually extend with a power play? It's like you might get an extra 3 minutes of hockey a season. Like, I don't know who would really be against. I'm sure people would be against it for whatever reason, but like,
It's a rule change.
I,
Somebody would be
it's a
against
rule
it.
change, sure. But yeah, I think I like that as far as a fair way to like make the power play work.
Yeah, I feel like now that I remember that was one of the options brought up, I might have changed my tune and I'm on that team as well. Not that the penalty shot wouldn't be cool too, because it is always fun to see a penalty shot, especially in overtime. But yeah, it might not necessarily be warranted all the time, even though they were most likely going to the shootout anyways, which is basically a penalty shot, but slightly
So what
different.
about a crazier rule change? This is tangentially related. You know how like I feel like if you have a power play that splits between periods, it's like never effective because like you get set up and then the period ends.
Almost
What
never.
if you end
Oh,
the period at the end of the power play and then shorten the next period?
interesting. Yeah. Okay. Uh. Hmm.
But maybe not for 5-minute majors. That might get a little crazy. Let's just start with minors.
Yeah. I think I'm with you there. Yeah. So okay. Um. So you take a penalty with like 1 second left in
How about
what
this?
was
If it's
gonna
under
be.
a minute, then instead you just stop, end the period, and then start extra time. So the penalty happens with 30 seconds left. The period ends, and then you start on the power play with 20 minutes and 30 seconds in the next period.
So yeah, what your cutoff is less than a minute.
Yeah, because otherwise, like the thing with 1 second, it's like then you're adding 2 minutes. Like I don't know. If you have the cutoff, then you have the whole intermission to have your coaching draw up a strategy.
Honestly, I don't think I would be against it. It is a little bizarre, but I mean, functionally it's not very different from the overtime one that we just
Hmm.
discussed. So, I feel like it would be strange of me to be for one and against the other.
Right. I mean, I'm not lobbying for this or anything. I think it would be an interesting dynamic.
It would certainly be different. I doubt that like overtime changes and things like this have come up for like these, you know, commissioner meetings or whatever, GM meetings, but
Yeah.
you never know. They
That would
always
be
they,
like
they
a
always change a
fly on
couple
the
things.
wall for those like manager meetings.
Oh yeah, I know. It would be so fascinating, like just to get that all that information and hear what the actual thoughts of the league are, because you never really know. It's just whatever the collective statements are.
Like how argumentative does it get between
Yeah,
like the GMs?
no, that would be so fascinating. Um, so yeah, there usually are like a couple minor rule changes each year, but because they're always looking to do that. I know the NFL does that too. I'm sure most of the leagues have minor changes.
We should message the PWHL and tell them about our rule change idea.
We'll link them to the episode and
Yeah,
timestamp it. Like,
there you
hey,
go.
this could be cool, and you'll be different from the NHL. So
Yeah.
until the NHL sees the PWHL do it, and then they copy them.
Well, you think they'll copy any of the rule changes that the PWHL is trying, or too soon to tell?
Hmm. Yeah, maybe a little bit early. I don't know how the reception has been as far as the uh like the power play one.
Jailbreak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um or yeah, the shorthanded one. Or there was another one.
Can't you like not ice it on the penalty kill? Like there is icing on penalty kills.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't really know what the reception has been like for those changes, or not changes, but those additions to that league have been, but I could potentially see it. I wouldn't rule it out.
And then the other, which I mean, it's not really a rule change, it's just the way they set up is the 3-2-1
Yeah, the scoring.
scoring system, which I know for the Four Nation thing, that's the system they're doing too. So it's like maybe they'll change eventually. I mean, if anything, out of like what the PWHL is doing, that's probably the one they'd take first.
Probably, yeah. Um, do we know what the playoff format is going to be for the PWHL as far as how many teams qualify? I imagine it's four out of
Yeah, I
the
don't know.
six.
I would also imagine four. It's weird with 6 teams. Like
Yeah,
maybe they all just do like a round robin or something, but it's just like seeding. Like one plays six, two plays five, three and four. Like
yeah. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Um, because then if you do that, then you have three teams moving on to the next round. So it's like, how do you?
Oh, that's true.
So it'd have to either
Maybe do
be,
a play-in round. First and second get a bye.
yeah. I guess there could be answers to this out there. I don't think I've seen anything on it, but I'll be curious to see how that works, and then yeah, what that looks like going forward.
I'm trying to see. Oof. Austin has a 45% chance. Ottawa has a 46% chance.
So they give them
We'll have
chances. So
it's
there
like
must
a
be some
money puck thing.
motivation.
We'll have chances of making the PWHL finals and then PWHL champion.
Hmm.
Um, but it doesn't tell you how it's gonna work. Playoff or Mad. That's probably what I should type. 2-round best of 5 playoff, including the top 4 teams.
Okay, yeah. I feel like I do remember seeing the best of 5 somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that must have been it.
Playoffs begin the week of May 6th.
All right, so we're a little ways out. That's around when the NHL usually starts, maybe a little bit after it. I don't remember when the
Also,
last regular season game for the league is this year.
in mid-April,
Yeah.
normally. I heard this year, like Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final would be like later than usual. Like there'd be a short turnaround between that and like the draft.
Hmm. I wonder if that has anything to do with the network that it's on this year, which is ABC. And I think ESPN Plus also is going to have the games. I don't know if it'll have all of them, but if it does, that is great.
The
Besides
Bruins' last game
blackouts.
is April 16th. So yeah,
16th,
mid-April.
okay.
Also, I just pulled up the NHL website and I was looking at like the games tonight, and it's like you got Buffalo playing the Canadians, Flyers, Blackhawks, and then you have 3 other games all starting at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Just,
Blue Jackets, Ducks, Maple Leafs, Coyotes. The only like good game is the Bruins Oilers.
yeah. I want to see when the last. So it looks like the last day is April 18th. There's 6 teams playing, including Vegas.
Okay.
Vegas plays the Ducks to wrap up the season. So, yeah, April 18th, and you said May 8th is the start of the playoffs for PWHL. I don't think we know now when the NHL playoffs will start. They
May
usually
6th for WHL.
yeah, they usually take a little bit of time. Like I don't know. Usually with like the last week of the regular season is when they put out the start times. I think for.
I don't know why I figure it always starts like early in the week, like a Monday or Tuesday.
I think you're right. I think it usually does. I don't know if there's like a full week off. I feel like last year there were only like maybe a handful of days before the
Well,
first
they had
couple
some.
games.
Was it last year they had teams playing during the playoffs that weren't playoff teams?
Yeah, we started talking about that in the off season. It was like, yeah, I think
Yeah.
Winnipeg and another team played a game, or not Winnipeg because they made the playoffs last year. It was like maybe 2 years ago. We said it on the podcast already, but
Yeah. Go watch that episode.
yeah, whichever one it was during the off season. Which is like crazy to think that we were even doing, episodes back in the off season. Now how deep we've been into the regular season at this point.
I know. Yeah, 30 weeks, a long time.
Yeah, we had two weeks that we did not have episodes. We had
All
our
right.
holiday break, and we had one episode or 1 week where we just couldn't get anything done. So,
Yeah.
happens.
Mm-hmm.
Let's.
Anything else you wanted to hit on?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's wrap it up with this hypothetical I put in here. About like in the event where McDavid did not want to play in Edmonton anymore, like what teams slash like what cities would McDavid like realistically want to go?
Calgary,
That
imagine.
would be like, I mean, there would be so many people that would watch the league. I feel like if that happened, like, cause I do think that would hit like media outside of like the hockey world, with just how like I know he's not like nearly as well known as like football stars and things like that or NBA stars, but I feel like still that would get some buzz.
All right, so if I were to predict, I would start by eliminating half the league and saying that they wouldn't trade within their conference. That's a typical thing especially with someone like McDavid. So,
Hey, it happened with Gretzky.
that's true.
Or well, actually, I don't know if
Oh,
they were in the same. Well, I assume they were the same conference, probably not the same division, but I don't remember
yeah.
what I don't know what the divisions looked like back then. That's one historical
All right.
area I do not have info on.
Well, at least I'll start with the Eastern Conference then.
Sure.
And my other assumption is that he would be traded to a team that is a contender for the next 5 years, let's say. Like he's not going to get traded. Well, he's not going to get traded to a rebuilding team. Like he's not going to get put on the Blackhawks. I don't think.
Yeah, I
If
guess.
he was traded this trade deadline, let's say, or like a team like the Penguins that are going the wrong way.
Yeah, I guess
Um,
for this hypothetical, I'll say it's in this off season. Like they didn't make either they didn't make the playoffs or they lost like early on this year in the playoffs, and so that this off season he decides like he wants out. That's the hypothetical I'll pose, I guess, to be more
all right.
specific.
I'll start. I'll name 5 teams in the East and then maybe narrow it down. So, Devils, Hurricanes, Rangers. Maybe, yeah. I don't know about the Hurricanes actually.
Hurricanes,
Let's
I'm
say
also unsure about.
we'll say Devils, Rangers, and then um, the Leafs. Ugh. I was thinking Lightning, but let's say no because I think they're going down as well. And I'm gonna have to say the Bruins just because.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think a ton of those are that crazy. I was thinking similarly to you, like how we both sort of thought that the Hurricanes maybe is a no, just because like players of that sort of like stature typically like they're going to more storied franchises, I guess. Like, you know, the Hurricanes are a relocated team. They haven't been in Raleigh like all that long, all things considered. So I mean, they've rooted themselves a little bit. They did win a Stanley Cup there, but yeah, I think like teams like the Rangers, who have been like original six teams. Same with the Leafs, especially because he's from Ontario. Um,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure he was a Leafs fan growing up. Um, and same with the Bruins too. Um, will they be competitive for another 5 years? Apparently,
That's where it's just my bias. It's like, they're good the last 2 years,
yeah,
like, and they have young guys. But yeah, if I wasn't a Bruins fan, I wouldn't say the Bruins.
right.
And then on the West, I'd say like the Stars or the Canucks. But who knows where the Canucks will be in the next few years? I think the Stars are a pretty safe bet.
Going to the Canucks would also be pretty crazy because like all the
That
like
same division.
the three teams out there, the Western teams there would all be they're all pretty intense rivals. So that would be pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, same division also.
So
Um,
what are your thoughts?
I don't know if I immediately had any in the Western Conference either. I was definitely thinking Rangers was probably at the top of my list. I also just feel like if I'm just picturing him in another
New
jersey,
Jersey,
like him wearing a Rangers jersey,
a
like clicks
Bruins
in my head.
jersey.
Yeah. All I can think, I mean, obviously all I can think of is Oilers jerseys, but it's like, you know,
Yeah.
again, it's all hypothetical. This would never really happen, at least this season. I'm pretty sure. He's still
Yeah.
so
You might get
young.
sick of losing eventually.
Yeah.
It was
If they
like
could
the
continue.
Oilers have had good chances. Like, where do you go that have had better chances to win the cup?
I know,
Like,
like maybe
who knows?
I don't know if you're thinking Western Conference, maybe like Colorado, because that would, I mean, if they could make the money work somehow. And yeah, there's like so many more layers to this as far as logistics, like how a trade could actually get done and who has the room and yada yada yada. But just as far as cities that it would seem like would fit for him.
I'm trying to see. Um, the Stanley Cup odds for teams this year. Okay. Yeah. So like this year you have the Panthers, the Avs, Oilers, Stars, Bruins, Hurricanes, Rangers. So like well you're pretty like Oilers are up there, so it's like this year
Yeah,
you wouldn't leave, but like when they start getting lower maybe. But like the past few years the Oilers have been up there as favorites. Like we've picked them as in our brackets every year,
Right.
like to go far. So, like, I
Panthers
don't
would
think
be
you would
pretty
leave a
crazy.
team. Yeah, I don't think you'd leave a team with good odds.
No, I don't think so either.
But yeah, if the team starts going really bad or they decide to rebuild or whatever, like it's a possibility.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just kind of a fun little thought experiment, like that brain teaser I put in the chat. What was it, a couple days
Oh, yeah.
ago? Which was if I was posing to the chat, what potential scenario would like the players of an NHL team not be like, happy with tying the game up, you know. So I don't know. I feel like maybe I could leave it to you guys to think about and reveal it next time, or I guess I could just say it now.
Or you could pause now if you don't want to know the answer yet.
Yeah, that's true. Dean, I can't remember if you had any responses or
No,
guesses.
I was thinking about it a little bit, but I was also skiing that day, so I didn't
Oh
have
yeah,
like time. Yeah, I didn't. I mean,
Sam
nothing
had a
really
couple
came to.
funny
I,
responses.
yeah, a couple were good. Like I think Gifford said, like if they score on their own net.
Yeah, it's like no, they are they are scoring. Their own team is scoring, and yeah, there was stuff about like, oh, if the team was like trying to tank or something, get a better draft pick. It's like, well, the players on the ice are not thinking about draft picks. They're thinking about the game.
Hmm.
So I'll say that the answer that I had in my mind was, like you score with like a second or less left in the third period, and your team needed a regulation win against the other team in order to qualify for the playoffs. So you scored late, but it's like, you don't have enough time to get the regulation win. So you're going to go to overtime, and whether you win the game is irrelevant because your team got eliminated.
Yeah, but I mean, at least going to overtime is better than losing in regulation.
I mean, I guess, but I think like at that stage in the season, like with because you go into it, you're like, okay, last game of the season, win and in, like there's a lot of emotion like tied to it, so it's like, yeah, at
Yeah.
that stage, like you kind
Well,
of already know that you're done, even if you win the
if,
game.
if you score with like a second left, it's like, and with like 5 or more seconds, like there's still some hope for
Yeah,
your goalie.
yeah, I think that's why I said like specifically like a second or less, because I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible. I think maybe somebody scored with less than a second from the face-off, dot or about a second. I
How it's a
doubt it
goalie
though.
against the Bruins, 0.9 seconds.
Oh, well, but that was a face-off in the
Yeah,
offensive
it
zone. It
wasn't from
wasn't
center
center
ice.
ice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember that one. Cause didn't you placed a bet for the Kings game to go
Oh,
to overtime again?
that wasn't that game though. Yeah, I did bet.
No,
It
but
was
because
just
of that game, like that had like happened a couple of
oh
years ago. Like they've set a
yeah.
precedent, right?
I was just like, well, the Bruins were up 4-3 with like 5 minutes left. I'm like, oh, it's just the whole game. Like this is just the kind of game that we give up a late goal and it goes to overtime. I know what's gonna happen in overtime, but like I'll bet on it ending 4-4 and the Kings scoring the next goal. And both those were like, I don't know, plus 300 or more odds. So
Oh,
a
okay.
dollar on each, not a
Yeah.
big deal.
I thought that you had placed those bets before the game had started, so I was like,
Oh,
wow. I guess the odds would have been a lot better, wouldn't they?
yeah. No, it was 4-3, and I was like, they're gonna score the next goal, and it's gonna be 4-4, and yeah,
And
it happened.
unfortunately, it was to be. The Kings have been turning it around lately. The Canucks actually lost three straight for the first time this whole season,
I
which is
heard
like,
that.
yeah, they're still first in the league right now. Um, so we'll wrap it up here. We're getting closer and closer to the trade deadline and then the playoff push, and we'll see what happens. We're excited.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't done so already. Follow us on our social media platform, just the one right now. Still working on the TikTok. They keep closing out my damn reports. But we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.
See you guys.
About because that was like, well, we'll talk about it. Oh, you almost got me.